is. We walk up bar, magic carpets fly with the last. Maybe the land of lily book can open us. For 400 years, there's no disguise or mask. A blast from the past is too little yet too much to ask. When the world stops spinning, who will you grasp? All you need is love, but every time you pass is suggestion. So is the family out the question to rest in peace? It serves as a problem day in, day out. We live for today. Human potential is on the decay. Second by second, minute by minute. Nothing bubble is an exhibit. A mental picture drawn from conclusion. Cry freedom, stand in seclusion.
Sure you have more.
Are you better than me?
They're there, my dear.
And you Construct, interrupt the run, energize, realize the humble stuff. Better be a mummy's boy, cause she's doing her nuts. Sickness, the cure. Distant echoes, inaudible, can you hear it? Hear it. Coming from your dustbin, trash can, garbage can. The gutters, udders, mutters, stutters. Salty cheese and said it was butter. You fucker. Foul. Pardon when you have on my garden. Wannabes, yes men, please. Sitting behind that desk when you should be on your knees. On the ground, something cold, something new. I choose, so you've just come back from Peru. What a trip, what a trip, what a trip, what a trip. Turbulence, sign to Siamese twins who wanted to be famous. And now you're in an ambulance. Changed his face to spite his nose. Now suspicion grows. Oxygen tanks, chimpanzees, ABCs, five go mad on a scalpel. Now that's dangerous, 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 dangerous. Oh. 9 out of 10 owners said their artists preferred it. Starvation and deceit, I got a receipt for warming your seat. So where do I stand?
Over there in the corner.
In the corner, over there.
Yeah, over there in the corner, kid.
In the corner.
Yeah, do it, kid. In the corner.
No ask, who's having the laugh?
So I'm basically setting up.
I'm going back to Stony Street to get me some peace.
Setting up two texture maps.
Yeah, you can come. Everyone can come. You know. This way.
So I'm trying to set up two maps. So this base texture will be for her regular outfit, and I stand by this. I still blame Gura because she's the one who put the idea out into the ether, and so now it must be done. This will be the base for a schoolgirl type outfit or school uniform thing.
John Barry, Mancini Brooker, James Johnson, the humanitarian team, Norman Cookie Cook, the family, Will, Derek, Anne Marie, Sandals, Matt, Gabby Burke, Big Bang John, Little Layla, Debbie Deb, DJ Femi Kwame, Lucille Ball, you know I'm putting that on it. Marie, you know that definition of sound, Kev, one in the dog. And all the inspiration. Family. We are. So that's that. Where's my Jack Cook? To Les, little Sammy Sam the magician. Out tricks. Abstract. And to Wayne, Picasso, Tracy. Yeah. And my mum. To my father, rest in peace, and the rest of my family, creation, you know that, and to everybody who hates us, we're gonna get paid.
silent me, you, the looking glass past, life salute, principles past, designer, destruction, direction, complexion, black is the mouth, prevention's protection, the aim of the maim, the lane stay the same, 15 minutes in the hall of shame, still no pictures of people on the wall, harmony, I hear that call, ringing in my ears, the scream of another, living in the land of the damn you discover, to walk in the dark, colliding collisions, dangerous divisions, temperature risen, sweat dripping, reality ripping into your soul, assume their position, the humble posture, cost you, lost you, war on one, the final chapter, pages to turn, bridges to burn, respect is due, no one to earn, a single thing, nothing given, ideas telepathy, cycled rhythm, stings of the dumb, stand with the stepping back as I'm thinking step. Kiss me quick, the face of adversity laughs in fits. The chosen, soon be frozen. White gem slam in slow motion from Stonehenge, from the heavens. Philosophy reigns 24/7. Running jokes, scramble for cover. The eagle has landed cause we shit on each other. Because of shade and melanin levels, society's products labeled devils. Fire with fire is not the attire. Warm with scorn, I just quest higher. Tangents drift and uplift. Power shifts because of the fist. This little piggy tried to beat Nick, lost and was squashed cause you can't lick a lyric in any shape, in any form. Knowledge is born, quiet is dawn. In any shape, in any form. Knowledge is born, quiet is dawn.
Okay, 9:30 as promised. Rigging.
Let's look at the funk.
Alright, so the way I do my rigging, I actually use two separate armatures. One is the Deform armature that acts directly on the character, and then there's a control armature that acts on the Deform armature. Think of a marionette. I basically set up I use an armature with the control sticks on a marionette.
This is most disturbing. Let's look at the funk.
So the reason why I split the chest and the neck in two separate bones is there is a little bit of flex to the chest. The control armature that I'll use though will be I do this thing with curves, right? And so these bones from the head down to the pelvis will be controlled by a curve, and that curve will be controlled by a separate armature. So I add the extra bones just to basically give a little smoother, springier, slinkier animation. But it's not going to be like a complete bendy. It's not like the chest is going to cave in. And for the neck, it's more a question of just splitting up the rotation of the neck to give a smoother rotation there. And the head should be pretty self-explanatory. I duplicate that first neck bone just because I want to keep the parenting. Oh, in the soundtrack, I switched over to the Jet Set Radio soundtrack. This is going to be one of those do as I say, not as I do moments where I tell you to put a kink in your swivel joints, like your elbows and your knees.
Music just turns me on.
Alright, and the reason you do that is for the pole resolver in the IK chain, or the pole target, the pole resolver in the IK constraint requires an initial bend in the joint to know which way to bend the joint when you move it around. But I always found the pole target thing to be like complete crap. It never works the way I want it to. So I've taken to basically cheating and using multiple IK targets. So I don't always put in an angle. But the official way of doing this is to put a slight bend in your joint opposite the direction you want the leg to bend, or the arm in this case. I'm going to explain this in a bit. Just let me do it, and then I'll show you or explain why.
Listen to the music and identify the beats.
But that was too soft.
Yes, I do my own rigs. I don't use Rigify.
don't understand what's going on here.
Give me a break.
I don't understand what's going on here.
Give me a break. Give me a break.
Okay, so let's go into a couple of things here.
What's going on? What's going on? I don't understand.
The orientation of the bones is kind of important. If you're going to try to take this character and bring this character into a video game engine, you're going to want the freedom to override animations through like math interpolations, like through your character controllers and stuff. So you want to have things in a predictable. You want to arrange things in a predictable way so that turning things on certain axes will give a uniform a uniform effect, right? So let's say we want our hinge joints to swing on the x-axis, right?
I don't understand what's going on here.
Fitting song. So let me just give you this arm right here. So this arm right here, this arm bone, if I want to bend it, I want to bend it on the x-axis to basically control the adduction and abduction. And so up in the rotation options, you see that the rotation was applied here, right? Now I can also manually change it by scrolling this. So this gives me like more mathematical control over the character. But now let's say the fingers, right? So we've already established this convention where your swing joints bend on the X, but now if you look at my fingers, that's not going to happen. Or rather they will, but they just won't bend the way we want them to. They'll bend in a particularly unhealthy way. So because we don't want to break his fingers, we want them to operate over the same way, but at the same time, if we hand this over to someone to like play with in a video game system, and they're expecting the X transform, the X rotate transform to bend the fingers like it bends the arm and it bends the knee, then we're going to need to orient these bones so that happens. So that basically means we're going to want the X to be horizontal, and I believe Z pointing down. Yeah, because if the thing bends in the direction of the Z, if it bends along X in the direction of the Z, it's positive. So we might actually want that the other way then. Because I would want the negative value for abduction and a positive value for abduction.
Emergency with service. Emergency with service.
Chameleon machine, chameleon machine, chameleon.
Yeah, sorry about that. Forgotten how that worked. The axes that we are looking at, or the axes that we want to pay, the axis marks that we want to pay attention to are at the head of the bone. That's the mistake I was doing right now. So if I go back into the pose, the negative X now abducts or bends in the elbow. However, the orientation of our bone isn't exactly the way we want it just yet. There we go. So if the positive deflection is towards the Z, then we want Z on top of the fingers. Well, that's convenient. So now all our orientations should be the way that we want, with the X negative abducting and X positive adducting. And now we're going to do the thumb, which throws everything out the window. Now to further complicate things, we're going to do the rollers. So the reason why I named this F upper arm and F lower arm is EFF is for effector, because these aren't going to deform the armature, but rather they're going to affect the bones that will deform the armature. So it makes more sense to do it with the forearm first because it's more intuitive. So let me do it with the forearm first, and then we'll do it with the upper arm. And we have to be very careful with what we do here because we want to get this right the first time, because having to go back and troubleshoot is going to be painful. So rota for rotate, lower arm A. And we're gonna do about 3 of these. So we're gonna subdivide once. The second subdivided bone that we make, we're gonna change that from A to B. And we're gonna subdivide it one more time. The next step that we're going to do is we're going to change the parenting for this. So for now we're going to make each of these a child of that other bone. And we're going to shut off connected. So each one of these copied and subdivided bones that we're doing, these rotation bones, are going to be the child of the effector bone for that part of the anatomy we're dealing with. And it's important to shut off connected. We are keeping them as deformed, but this one, the effector bone, we're going to shut off the form. So now it's not going to generate an influence, a weight influence, on the armature, but rather the rotation bones are. And what's going to happen, the relationship is the rotation bones are going to deform the armature, and they're going to be moved because they are the children of that effector forearm bone. And this one's a little simpler. Do not subdivide it. I made a mistake. We're going to duplicate it and then subdivide. So I don't want to play around with the orientation of the bones. So once you have the effectors in place, you're pretty much committed to that placement. And so what I did was to get that rotation bone like the first quarter of the way up. Actually, we should probably have done it the third of the way up. Hold on. Okay, so we're back at the initial step where we have duplicated the effector bone, parented the rotation. We've duplicated the effector bone, named it rotation or rota, and we've parented it back to the effector bone. So now what we're going to do is we're going to subdivide. And we're going to go into the options for subdivision and subdivide it 3 times. So now we've broken that bone up into thirds. We're going to select this lower third and we're going to dissolve. And so what that's going to do is it's going to give us smoother rotations of the upper arm as we animate. The legs are going to follow a similar structure, similar layout. It's been half an hour and we've got the torso and we've got the arms. Yeah. Rigging is a slow process, but you do it right the first time and it saves you trouble later. Which you never do it right the first time. There's always something you forget to do that just basically... Like right now, I believe I was going to start working on the legs and totally forgot about just shutting off the... Yep, forgot to shut off the Deform. And I forgot to change the parent. So we can actually test this now if we go into pose mode. Okay, so now we're going to go to the leg. It's the same process, but with the leg. So we're going to just change the names to reflect the leg anatomy. There we go. Thank you. I will duplicate the abdomen because it has the parenting to the hips. And again, we want to maintain that convention where rotating on the X, negative X is abduction, and extension on the X is adduction. So yeah, negative X abducts, positive X adducts or extends.
raps, flip the trap, flip the raps, flip the trap, flip the raps, flip the trap. Flip the raps, flip the trap, flip the raps, flip the trap, flip the raps, flip the trap. Flip the raps, flip the trap.
And here I actually have a situation where I do have that bend. Okay. Doesn't always work out that way for me. The calf immerses us. We don't actually have to go and do all that crazy stuff with the calf. But for the toes, we're going to use an effector for the toes. The reason for that is we can have individual bones for the individual toes, but also when you animate, you do animate the toes as a unit. So instead of having to sit there and like manually animate each toe and line them all up, we're going to create a effector that will control all the toes together.
Let's look at the fun.
This is just extrude a bone out from the toe effector, and that way you have the proper parenting. And now just clean it. So there's a theory in practice. You can rotate all the toes together as a unit. You can rotate them individually. I just got into the habit of doing my own rigs because like the pre-made rigs might give you a bunch of stuff that you don't need. So like if you're just modeling, let's say, an upper torso, you don't need like the foot controls and all that other stuff. But now you can see here, you can pose each toe individually and still move them as a The other benefit of doing your own rigs is that if something breaks, you know where to look to fix it.
What is love? What is free love? What is love? Love is free.
For him.
What is love? What is free love? What is free boy? What is boy? What is girl? What is free girl? What is love is free? Love is
I've used that. I've used those before also, just basically to try to like distribute some of the deformation. I've looked into Rigify, and I've actually tried to like dissect Rigify, and there's Python scripts that come with Rigify that it's like, oh boy. Like I do want to learn Python, and this is like setting stuff up with Python. There's another Blender user that has a channel specifically devoted to doing Python in Blender, and there's one person that I saw who actually modeled an entire face and animated it solely using math, and it was nuts. Like it was really good, but that's like a whole other level I'm not ready for yet. Okay, so now I think we're ready to... Yeah, I think we're ready to flip the rig and apply it.
Monster.
Pretty confident in my work, but I'm just right now double checking, make sure all the names are correct, because then when we go into weight painting, if the names are incorrect, weight paint symmetry is not going to work, and a bunch of other like issues.
And you're ready to flow.
I would try Rigify before you bought a rig. I haven't heard of that one. I normally animate faces using blend shapes, but I'm going to try for this rig to use bones. So I'm stepping out of my comfort zone right now. There's going to be a lot of fumbling. You know, I'm trying not to let it bother me, but like, there's a thumbs down I got, and it's like, really? What did I get a thumbs down for? Is that face rig thing, like, is that what people are using to do like 3D characters for like OBS and stuff like that? For like 3D virtual streamers?
Bets, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, in theory, I know how to do this. It's just like I've tried it once before on a character, and it was very, very difficult.
Coming out again for a new point. Bets now, ladies and gentlemen. Who wants the hard four? 5 wants 4. 4 fours the point, mark 4. Ace, deuce, scraps, mark 4. Ace, deuce, deuce, deuce. Scraps, 1, 1. 9 away, got a hot hand, hot hand. 9 away, got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. 9 away, got a hot hand, hot hand. 9 away, got a hot hand. Who wants to come? 9 away, got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. 9 away, got a hot hand. Place your bets.
I'm using Snap to Vertex to help me get the these face bones into position.
He's coming out again for a new point. Get your bets now, ladies and gentlemen. 4 fours to point, mark 4. Ace, deuce, who wants to come? 6 to point, who wants to come? 6 to point, who wants to come? 6 to point.
don't actually know what orientation to use for the bone roll, so I'm just going to set it all to 0 for now.
Dig this. I think the tough thing is trying to come up with intuitive names that aren't too like cumbersome.
For those of you joining us now, I am completely out of my comfort zone right here and just winging this. I normally animate the face with blend shapes, so this is the first time I'm like doing a serious effort to like make a bone rig for the face. I mean, I know how it should work in theory. Yeah, I was planning on putting all this stuff up on Blend Swap so people can like download it and mess around with it. But the problem that I found is like Blend Swap for some reason is just unreliable for me. Like I can't log into Blend Swap and upload stuff. And I'm following all the rules and all the guidelines, but for whatever reason, I guess it's just my dumb luck that I happen to like log into Blend Swap when they're having server problems or some shit. Like even if Blend Swap's working. So I want to do this instead, put it up on Sketchfab, but Sketchfab doesn't read the blend shapes. Although I think Unity does read blend shapes. Alright, here goes nothing, that magic moment. Let me save before I parent this and probably crash, or maybe crash, maybe not, hopefully not. Positive thoughts. It looks reasonably clean. One thing though for video games, I believe Unreal and Unity have a limit for alright, there's like I read some documentation that there is a limit to how many bones can influence a control point in an armature, and that limit happens to be like 3 for Unity and Unreal, I believe. So with Blender you can do that by going into the weights menu. Weight menu, limit total, and then here in the total, all groups put down 3. And so that'll basically make sure that each control point is controlled by no more than 3 bones. And so anything beyond that, like the smallest influence value gets deleted or discarded. So that's obviously going to need some work. Shoulders aren't terrible. Alright, I have some weird parenting going on there, but that I can fix. So I was thinking of doing the control armature Wednesday, but I don't like weight painting without the control armature. I'd rather have the control armature in place so I can bend and move the body, because I like weight painting while putting the body in positions of function. So I think I will do the control armature now, and then that way Wednesday will be weight painting. So if the ride up till now has been rough, get ready, because this next part is going to be even rougher. So I use two armatures in my rig. One armature is the Deform armature that works directly on the character itself, and then the other one is a control armature that, if you think of like a marionette, you've got your puppet, and then you've got the sticks that the puppeteer uses to control the puppet. So the strings then would be the constraints, and it's just one of those things that as I do it, you see it and it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. The reason why I do it this way is because you can do your animations with a control modifier, with the control armature. Once you have your animations done and you're happy with the way the animations are, you go into the Deform armature, you bake the animations into the Deform armature, then you delete the entire hierarchy for the control armature. And so you now have a character modeled and rigged with animations that you can export into like any game engine. And you don't have to worry about weird application specific constraints, because all the animations are baked in, like all the translations are baked into the armature data. So I basically start off by duplicating the original Deform armature. The other problem a problem that this presents is how to move the armatures together. And so for that, I use an empty as a universal transform point, I guess. So basically just add an empty plane axis. And then you parent the two armatures to your empty. So basically, there's some tweaks that I'm doing right now to this armature. I'm getting rid of some bones that we don't need, and we're not going to need the rotators in the forearm, but we are going to want to keep Unity does support blend shapes. I remember reading an article about that like a while ago. I have Unity installed, but like I've been so focused on creating that I haven't gotten into messing around with it. Like I know the basics of programming in C and Java. Like I've written Arduino stuff like that. I've written like Arduino code and stuff, and I've done like video game stuff. It ended horribly, but like it is something that I'd like to learn. But yes, Unity does. Ever since Unity started natively accepting Blender files, they do accept blend shapes. But Sketchfab doesn't, and if I want to upload models to Sketchfab with a little animation built into it, they're not going to accept the blend shapes. So that's why I'm exploring playing around with the bone, a skeletal face rig. Which again, once you animate and once I animate and I'm happy with the animation, I can strip the control modifier, or rather I can bake the animations onto the Deform modifier, strip out the control modifier entirely, and then upload this clean, neat character to Sketchfab, and then people can turn around and use whatever control system they want whenever they download and play with it. Feet I'm not going to mess with yet because there's a specific thing I need to do with feet. Lo-fi hip-hop channel for anybody who wants to listen along to that. Okay, so now we're going to start setting up our control rig, or rather, yeah, I've cleaned out the extraneous stuff that I don't need, and so now we can start playing around with constraints. Like, I seriously don't get why it's showing up here as the pivot point. That's really sus. Alright, so let me go over this part of the control right now. What I'm doing is center of gravity. So this COG bone, you grab it, you move it, and it'll basically take the hips and move the hips around. And so for the hips and the abdomen, you want to parent them to the COG. The foot we basically want to invert. We also want to remove the parenting on that. But we want to make sure we're removing the parenting on the right things, and I have not. And Ina's got those platform shoes I haven't modeled yet. Alright, I'm going to guess more or less where I want to put them, and when I do the final model for the outfit, I'll tweak this stuff. So these are the pull targets that I'm going to be using, but I'm not going to be using the actual pull target function within the IK. I'm going to be using just another IK modifier. And there's ways of tweaking it because the pull target system is meant to make sure that the bones bend the right way. There's ways of tweaking it to fake it. Again, one of these do as I say, not as I do kind of a thing. Like, stick to pull target. If you can get the pull target thing to work, awesome. If you can't get the pull target to work, this is the workaround. I'm going to parent these to their respective hand for now. And similarly, these will be the pull targets for the knees. This may seem a little weird and redundant, but it's to get the certain invisible bones or certain hidden bones that we're going to be using to control the rotating bones, or the controllers for the bones that rotate. Basically, like the upper thigh and the upper arm. I need a way of constraining those things so that they move in a predictable manner. So this is going to seem a little redundant, but the reason I do it this way is because it's going to keep these bones that I'm going to highlight So these bones that I've highlighted, I need them to move in a very specific way, and I need them to move in a way that's analogous to the way that their counterparts in the Deform armature work. So that's why I'm doing this weird thing where I broke the parenting from the hand to the arm, but now I'm going to IK constrain that forearm to the hand. And then on the other Deform armature, I'm going to do the same thing. Let me go through it and then I'll explain why. And so here's where you would do the pull target resolver. I've just found that it hardly ever works for me the way I want it to. So now I gotta go in and manually change the direction of the pull target. Well, I guess I lucked out this time that it worked. Okay, I'll keep that for now. And I'm guessing that the leg might screw up, but that worked, and I'm not going to jinx it. But this isn't working the way it should. And I don't know why. That is very odd. Oh, that's why. I'm an idiot. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I forgot. Alright. Do this again. So you select the bone that you want to copy to, then shift select the bone you want to copy from. But now, what I did wrong was I forgot that I was selected the bone that I copied from, and that I didn't have access, that I didn't have active the bone that I was trying to constrain. So now you gotta reselect the right bone and do the and change the settings. Which in hindsight is probably just easier to just have done it manually instead of trying to copy it. Check it out, the pull target worked twice. I'm going to move him back a little bit though. Similar, we're going to do that now to the feet. See, then with the knee it does the weird thing. I don't get it. With the hand it worked fine. With the knee, nope. I'm guessing maybe because the knees are knocked in a little bit. That could be the reason why that happens. Just move those forward a bit, give us more room to work with. The plan is just have her wear high heels. I mean, again, this is one of the benefits of rigging your own character, is that you can turn around and like play with the rig. Once I get the outfits in, I'll tweak it, but it shouldn't be that big of an issue. No, I'm running through the scenarios in my head, and it shouldn't be an issue. Like if I wanted her running around barefoot, I just create a basic pose with her feet like flat. So the workaround the IK, or rather the workaround the pole target not working, is to just apply a chain length 1 IK to the thighs. And aim it to the knee. And also check off rotation. Rotation needs to be checked off as well, because without it, the leg won't turn to face the knee. You know, let me try something. Hold on a second. Now, I was hoping that that might have solved my pole resolver issue, and it did not. So, back to plan B. Okay, so that's the basic setup for the control armature. Now we're going to parent the deform armature to the control armature, and that's where stuff gets interesting. So I'm just going to hide the bones in the control armature that I don't need. And I'm hiding them in pose mode, that way when I go into object mode, they'll remain hidden. Another trick is to put both armatures in rest mode or rest position. That way they're not jumping around as you're putting in the different constraints. So again, think of a marionette. You've got your puppet, you've got the strings, and then you got the control sticks. The deform armature is the puppet. The control armature is the sticks that the puppeteer uses to control. And then the constraints are the strings. So this is basically getting the same constraint as its counterpart in the control, and now we can hide it because we don't need it. And I like going through and hiding the bones as I work through it, just basically to keep track of what I've worked on. So this constraint, I'm copying the transforms that are applied to the hand in the control armature. That way, by manipulating the hand in the control armature, I'll be able to manipulate the hand in the deform armature. But then the other trick is I need a copy rotation for these two bones here. this case, we're going to copy the local target to local target. Or rather, the local coordinates from the hand IK, or very specifically the Y rotation from the hand IK, will be transmitted to the Y rotation on this. And the difference between local and global, global is the X and Y coordinates of the scene itself, where local is the X and Y coordinates of the actual bone. So I'm just going to vary the influence a little bit. So if I did this right, this should work. I mean, okay, I gotta clean up the weights, but yeah. I screwed something up. Oh gosh, something got twisted and I don't know what. Hold on, let's see if I can figure this out. I know I can figure this out. I put it together. I should be able to figure it out. That's so strange. I can't figure out for the life of me why that flipped that way. Alright, we're just going to soldier on and figure it out somehow. I have a theory, and I think we're going to fix it right now, if my theory is correct. It's weird. I still have that weird twist in it, and I don't know why it did that. There's no obvious reason for it. Unless my pull target was off. If it was the pull target, I'm going to be pissed. See, this is why I don't like using pull targets. It's getting late, so I'm going to wrap up. Let me get through the feet first, and then Wednesday I'll continue doing the armature. And because with the spine, I do something weird with curves, but I find it gives me a nice effect for controlling the spine. So let me go do the feet, and we'll call it a day or night, evening. The mouth pouch, what, you mean the internal part of the mouth? I don't sculpt that. Like, I'll model out, I'll do my retopology, and then when it's time to do the inside part of the mouth, I can literally just model that out by hand. So what I'm doing is I'm using these, I'm basically using a control setup that lets me manually override the top part of the thigh, so I can kind of cheat a little bit on the rotation, or like rather the deformations of the leg. Oh, and also I have to explain the foot. So remember that with the foot, we created these, well, hold on, let me see. Give me a second. So with the foot, the way that we have the foot set up, we have a bone that basically is the heel bone. That's like the base of the foot. This is the parent for the entire foot rig. So moving that moves the foot. But what we're going to do is to get a ball roll, or to enable the foot to roll on the ball of the foot. We have a bone that's parented to this bone here. We have a bone that is the child of this bone that extends outward, and it basically mirrors the position of the plantar bone that you use on the Deform mesh. And so that way, when you IK constrain them to each other, they'll create a situation where you can rotating this bone will cause the plantar bone to move as well. But we've got to do a couple of tweaks to get this to move the right way, and that's all done through IK bones, or IK constraints. And then the final piece of the puzzle is this one IK bone. This bone that I've highlighted here is an IK bone. It's not going to rotate or turn anything. It's just literally there as a target for your leg IK to point to. So now in the Deform Armature, we'll go into pose mode and put our constraints. And for all these constraints, we want to give them a chain of 1. They're very, the chain length is very important because it's literally just influencing that one bone. For the toes, we'll just do like a copy rotation. But where previously we were only copying the Y rotation, the Y value rotation, here we're just copy all of them. So your deform armature, the toe parent in your control armature is basically just going to control the rotation is going to copy the rotation from your control modifier, from your control armature. So I'm going to hide the deform armature. That just gives us the control armature. And now if I go to pose mode for the control armature, I should be able to control and move everything. I'm actually surprised it's animating this well, considering that I have a subdivision surface modifier on the mesh, and usually it animates like garbage. And now we just copy the process. Toes should not have moved like that, and I think I know why it did. I have copy rotation on inherent, that's what it is. I had inherent rotations on. And so if I shut inherit rotations off, it should behave the way I want it to. And there we go. I'm just hiding the bones we don't need anymore. Okay, I'm happy with the progress so far. Should be enough to start doing weight painting. That's 12:30. I think I'm going to call it for now. And so Wednesday, keep working on the control modifier and start the weight painting. Try to get it all done by Friday so that Friday we can just have some fun. I'm remembering that there's something weird that I have to do here with the these forearms, and I think it's in the constraint options. Alright, I know it's throwing me off now. It's the elbows. There we go, that's what I wanted. can pronate and supinate your hands without turning your elbow. And so that's what I was trying to get at here. Alright, so I'm calling it a night. I'm calling it a night for tonight. Calling it a night for tonight. Oh my god, I need sleep. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys Wednesday. Or see in quotes.